Greetings, everyone. My name is Nadia Abdul Aziz, and I'm WILAB chairperson for the Middle East and NFL National Association of Freight and Logistics President, FIATA Vice President. I'd like to just share a few of my thoughts on women and the impact of women post-COVID in relation to logistics, in relation also to entrepreneurships and job creation and capacity building. Just an overview of what I see happening and what's happening in our region within the Middle East in relation to other countries. Of course, we all know the impact of COVID has had a huge negative impact on many families, on many workers, and more specifically on women, young females, as well as working women. The negative impact, of course, first of all, is because women are in the front line fighting against COVID. And if we really look at numbers, we will see more than 70% of healthcare workers globally are women. So a lot of women have been there in the forefront. And also, there are huge socio-economic consequences related to this pandemic, and we see a lot of negative impact, for example, in the decline in the living standards for young girls, women, not in specific regions, but globally, less work, less schooling. So many of these females who just got opportunities to study had the disruption of COVID, which disrupted the entire schooling for young females as well as young males. But the impact on females is far greater. Massive job losses. When we say massive job losses, when compared to men, a lot of women have lost their jobs because they need to take care of their families. The children are left at home, they cannot go to school, there's a pandemic, women are forced to either resign or leave their jobs temporarily to go and take care of their children, make sure they do homeschooling, take care of them while they're home because they don't have caretakers. And at the same time, they lose the independence, they lose the income that they get from their jobs, as well as putting them at financial distress. So we've also seen seen a lot of actual reports showing not only people being jobless, specifically women, but domestic violence increasing, rape cases increasing, as well as a lot of teenage pregnancies when we talk about this issue globally. We also need to, I think, work on various areas by raising awareness on such issues, taking a lot of NGOs and showing them that we need to work on solutions, looking and working closely with the governments from our countries to look at these issues and try to solve them, try to support women, support their businesses, support their causes, try to push them into education, support them in terms of employment, and also to reduce the root causes of these issues that are coming up, and specifically also due to the pandemic and post-pandemic. As I mentioned, 70% of healthcare workers are women. So many women have been put in vulnerable situations. Many are underpaid despite them being in the front line. So we need to look at these issues and we need to really support their women, because the women are building the societies. They are building families, they are teaching the families, the children, and these children are the new generations that will take on. And if we don't really take care of that, I think there will be a big disruption and negative impact on the entire community. And giving them also, I would say, we need to look at not only education, employment, looking at the gap where there are gaps in terms of work opportunities in certain sectors. Logistics is one of them, especially in the developing countries. If we can push women into the logistics sector, offer the education and opportunities into the sector, I think there is a better way of having a sustainable career path. And with the new trends in the logistics due to the COVID and post-COVID, I think there are a lot of opportunities with augmented reality. E-commerce is growing more than threefold in our region in the Middle East, more specifically in the Gulf region, due to high internet penetration, high reliability on last mile delivery, and contactless shopping, which is the new trend. The new retail is contactless retail, which is mainly virtual, which also can create jobs for women in the IT industry. So working with NGOs, I think working with governments to support women, support their businesses, and showing them the importance of women and making women the center point of their focus, because women are really socio-economically very important for any country. And they will also, especially when it comes to entrepreneurships, a lot of the women we notice are entrepreneurs, and once they're entrepreneurs, they create a lot of jobs, which creates healthier GDPs for a lot of the economies. So I think really there should be more attention given to women businesses in terms of financial support, employment, capacity building, new jobs into the IT applications, Internet of Things, data analytics, e-commerce applications, and engaging them into the new logistics sectors. Because I feel, for example, port automation is a place where a lot of women can work. It does not require a lot of physical work. In fact, it is done from your own office, which has been done by DP World in the UAE. Terminal 3 is fully operated by females sitting in their offices using their computers to move things around the port in Terminal 3. So this was entirely created and fully supported by women. In terms of entrepreneurship, I think women lack financial support. They lack sometimes the support in getting tenders, getting connected. So supporting them in terms of networking, financial support from the governments, from NGOs, exposure also would help if we can help women get more exposure to their businesses, give them a chance to enter tenders, whether they're small or large or medium entities, but of course supporting SMEs. And because of the disruption in education, I feel there will be a big place for women also into the educational sector while they are at home. Since education has turned right now blended education, you have a hybrid model being used, e-learning as well as face-to-face, or some people are totally using e-learning. We know that 1.2 billion students have been impacted from 186 countries because of the COVID. Everything went online. Women can get also into the educational part of business in the virtual format. So this is another opportunity where women can be in, and we should also encourage this. Due to the pandemic, there are negative effects, but we can turn these negative effects into positive effects. The supply chain logistics, for example, has never been so important as it has been during the pandemic, even post the pandemic. It has been considered one of the vital sectors in many economies. When everything was shut down, the supply chain logistics companies, the ports, everything was still operational. So there is big shed light on the logistics sector. There is huge opportunities for women, but it is our duty as governments, as NGOs, as the private sector to support women to enter this field. One area where there is a lack, which we have within our region in the Gulf, is supporting women in part-time jobs. Our literacy rate, for example, in the UAE is above 95%. So we don't have women deprived of education. In fact, they are pushed into education. They get educational sponsorships by the government. But we need to push them in different sectors, maybe to ensure that they get jobs. Maybe some jobs are saturated offer them other niche, interesting jobs that have sustainable careers. I see a lack between the government and the private sector. The government is pushing to support women, but the private sector here is lacking behind. The governments within the United Arab Emirates, I would say, has always been supporting women, but it has really increased since the past, I would say, 15 years. Women have been put in leadership positions. Women have been supported on scholarships to get education, to take the top positions in global entities, government entities, on the board of directors, as ministers in the national cabinet. Also, we have a 50-50 placement for women and 50 for men. This was very recent. So women have been getting amazing support from the government. Where I see a big lack is the private sector. The private sector has not done much to support women. There's still differences in payrolls. There is a gender gap. Of course, more opportunities, I mean, for higher positions definitely would go to men. But as an example I'm giving you, the government sectors have imposed that there are certain months off for women because of the delivery. Women have daycare centers next to every government entity. So every government entity was made and told to have a nursing center to support working women and women who have just delivered, so that they can continue their career and not quit their jobs. This has not been done for the private sector. If we see such initiatives for the private sector, I will see many, many more women in place. I can assure you that we'll have more women entrepreneurs. We'll have more part-time women workers who can be independent, have a family, have a husband, have a happy life, and have a career, even if it was a part-time career. This is where I see a gap with the private sector and a part-time professional career for women. As I mentioned, e-commerce, a lot of relocations, supply, demand shocks have impacted our market. And right now, all the economies are going back almost to normal since Q2 2021. The GDP on a global scale has improved almost around 8%. And many economies are trying to reshore, to get most of their supplies from neighboring countries or nearby locations, which means new jobs can be created for females in the neighboring factories. And businesses are going into different areas and diversifying. So maybe while diversifying, we should also try as businesses, as governments, to support women in getting jobs, build their career path, give them the experience, on-the-job training, cross-training, etc., in order to be able to hold these positions. And I think every one of us owes this, because every one of us had support. Every one of us came into this world by a woman, so we owe this to the women, and we really all should work collaboratively together to achieve this objective, and to give women a chance in all economies, in all countries, regardless of their religion, regardless of their background, or any caste, etc. And I think we know that offices now have been reinvented. People are moving less to go to their work, and the future is contactless e-commerce. So we need to work around these areas, and we need to offer employment opportunities for women in these areas, because everything is moving to IT, digitalization, which means you can be sitting at home and doing the work, which means a lot of women at home can be doing that work too, not only men. So I feel these are the areas where we should help, and these are the areas, if we all collaborate and use our expertise, we will definitely be able to empower women to have sustainable careers and have better lives, and really have a positive impact on our economy and many other economies. and we really need everybody's help. And I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to just share some of my insights on this topic. Thank you very much.